Good morning, everybody. Today is December 15th. Dr. Vuong here, Best F and Dad, with a quick COVID update. My update yesterday, I had technical difficulties, so I couldn't upload it. Numbers are bad. New York City's in trouble, way over 3,000 cases. Wisconsin is now the hottest place in the United States, the whole Midwest. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a little surprised how slowly it's making its way, man. It seems like, the Great Lakes area, the Northeast have been getting hotter and hotter and hotter for the last 6, 7, 8 weeks. So it's just like really moving very, very slowly. And if you notice the southern numbers, South Carolina, Georgia, they're starting to take off, like I said. We passed the grim milestone, 800,000 deaths here in the United States. And I remember when this all started a year and a half ago, and I said, if all the doctors and leaders did everything we were supposed to do, and we controlled this pandemic, and people listened to what we're saying, we would be lucky if we had less than 100,000 deaths in America. And people were like, oh my God, you're such a fear monger. You don't know what you're talking about, yada, yada, yada. And here we are at 800,000 American deaths. And I said, 6 months ago, I said, we are going to surpass 1 million deaths. The idea that we have another 200,000 deaths to go is crazy. And that's probably underreported. But that's just here in America. And worldwide, we're almost to 6 million worldwide deaths. That's definitely underreported. But on to Omicron. It is spreading much more rapidly than we think. World Health Organization said that it's probably in every country. You should assume some early middle data coming out that Omicron could be spreading 2 to 3 times more rapidly than Delta. It's definitely spreading faster than any other variant. And again, World Health Organization agrees with me. It is way too early to say it's milder, but even if it's milder, the number of cases you're going to still overwhelm the system with unvaccinated people. And, it's going to be a really bad surge. I mean, right now, Christmas is 10 days away here in the United States and all over the world. And, I thought that the Christmas surge would be Delta up in the Northeast. You're going to start seeing some Omicron down here in the South really pick up. But man, this is dragging out way slow. We might be through this, the Valentine's Day, the way we're headed. And the CDC said last week Omicron made up 3% of all the tested variants here in the United States. 3% from zero in about a week. Boy, this is not looking good. On some other news, the Pfizer COVID pill, remember this is an antiviral, it's kind of like Tamiflu, and you take it within 3 days of symptoms of having COVID, and it's keeping people, the reduction out of the hospitalization, major illness, and death is 80% reduction in severe illness, 90% overall, which is still really, really good. And it's also effective against Omicron, relatively speaking. I said in the past that, I expect to catch Omicron, and it's true. I think the way it's going, I think the way crowds are, I think, the incubation period is much shorter. The doubling time is 2 days. It's just crazy. So the best scenario is not to catch it, but I will say that if the thesis is that everybody's going to eventually catch Omicron, then it's best to be vaccinated. Number one, best to be boosted, and to continue to mask and continue to self-distance, and social distance, and to avoid big crowds, especially ones where you're close together, you're indoors, and you're screaming and shouting and singing. That's the best scenario. So it's layers of protection. It's like having we use the analogy like you need to have good seatbelts in the car, but you also have seatbelts plus airbags. You don't just disarm your airbags because you sit there and go, hey, I already have seatbelts. I will add to this as we get more variants. You also need to make sure you have good brakes on your car. That is also safety. You need to make sure you have good tires on the car. That's also safety. You need to not be driving impaired. That is also safety. We often don't think about that. There is the car, and then there's the driver. There is the virus, and then there's the host. There's the patient. You have factors both ways. If you need to wear glasses, you should be wearing your glasses when you drive. You should not be under the influence when you drive. So there's host issues also. But, for the people who are not willing to get vaccinated for whatever reason, and I'm talking to the ones who qualify, who can get it, who still just refuse to get it, don't want to do it. I don't know what to say. I'll say this: no one cares about your status. No one cares. The world is moving on. I said this in the summer that you are gonna live in a world where you're just gonna have to show proof of vaccination to go to a restaurant, to go to a concert, to go to get a job, to stay employed. And that's coming to fruition 6 months later. So honestly, no one cares about your vaccine status because the world is moving on. And the world is starting to understand that we will never get this under control until the third world countries, we get everybody vaccinated. Or, I'm going to tell you, people sitting there go, we just need to get it endemic. Oh man, don't. I've done a video on that, like why you don't want it to be endemic, but I will give you another prediction. Since Dr. Vuong likes to do this, it will be the year 2030 before we can say coronavirus, SARS COV-2 is endemic. Before the final iteration of whatever happens with SARS COV-2, whether it goes away, becomes a common flu, becomes a common influenza or common cold or becomes, a worse case of cold or flu you've ever had, whatever it is, we will not know until the end of this decade. So that's it. Are you going to be that stubborn for that long, or are we just going to move on? Do the right thing. Stay safe this year. I'll be back when there's something new to talk about.